Hello. Hey everyone. I'm going to kind of just chit chat a little bit before people start coming up because I don't know. I don't know if anybody will show up, but I kind of give some people a couple of minutes. But happy Sunday. I hope that everybody is having a good one and that you've had a good weekend. I got my second COVID vaccine shot on Friday, so I've been kind of feeling under the weather all weekend, but getting through it. Feeling a little bit better today. Oh, hello. Hey, Tales Point Horror Book Club. Happy you guys made it, and it's I think 5:30 your time over there in the UK. So thank you for coming by. Um, Today, what I wanted to do on this Instagram Live is just one kind of just thank everybody for I don't know all the positive feedback that I've been getting. It's been super awesome. Hey, Dustin. Um, and just also explain some stuff that got coming up this upcoming week, and also want to talk about some resources for kind of studying horror. Um, I would like to first start off with the stuff's coming up this week. So my episode on The Woman in Black, um, I'm really excited for that to come out. I had a really fun guest on. Her name is Megan. She had a podcast previously called Retrostatic Radio that's no longer going, but is still up there if people want to watch it. But we had a lot of fun talking. There was some technical difficulties, so I hope that the audio isn't too bad. I think that it'll be fine for the most part, but I hope that people will be able to bear with it. But to kind of make up for it, on Friday, I have a bonus episode coming out that will be just a lightning round review of movies I've been watching outside of the podcast. They're all horror, but yeah. So Friday, I got a just a bonus episode of lightning review and let you know what movies I've liked, which ones I would recommend, which ones I would say go away. Hey, y'all bros. Hey, Caleb and Jonathan. I don't know which one of you is on there, but hey, guys. But yeah, so uh, be sure to check that out. Let me know what you think. The Woman in Black was really fun to revisit because I haven't revisited that movie since 2012. It was pretty fun just to see Daniel Radcliffe in a movie again. I mean, an older movie, but still, it was fun. Fun to not see him in a Harry Potter movie, anyways. But today, I kind of really wanted to get into the uh, all the really awesome feedback I've been getting from people. Thank you so much, everybody. It really does mean a lot to me. This is, a fun passion project, and it's, something to, get my mind off of things and collaborate with friends and everything. I hope that everybody's been able to enjoy the Scream episode where I had Dustin from Dustin Can Read and Adam from the Great American Scream come on to talk about the opening scenes for all the Scream movies. That was really fun, and I got some really awesome feedback from people on Reddit, actually. And I got a really fun episode request for that for us to revisit that same idea, but instead of the opening scenes, we all discuss the reveals of who is Ghostface, do all the Ghostface reveals for that. Thank you. Um, yeah, so I think that would be a lot of fun to do that for us to get together again and discuss the reveals because I have a lot of hot takes on those. I think outside of the first movie, but that'll be a lot of fun. So if you guys ever have episode requests or ideas or any sort of special topics you would like for me to, I don't know, do or, cover, please just, send them on in. You can DM me on Instagram or, email me, burkerhorror@gmail.com. And I also hope to continue the dialogue with you guys on Instagram with the posts I make, which each new episode post. Please feel free to comment on those, your thoughts, or any other recommendations on those as well. Like, hey, I really liked how you did this. I would like to see how you would cover this movie or anything like that. And I would say one of the best things or one of the biggest compliments I've gotten so far is that I've made horror interesting for some people that don't even like horror movies, but they've been really enjoying this podcast, and that is a huge compliment to me because my my own research and understanding about how movies are made and things like that is pretty shallow. I'm not the most knowledgeable on that subject matter, but I wanted to talk about some really awesome resources that people can look into if you are gaining some interest in the horror genre and you kind of want to learn a little bit more that's more in depth than what I kind of go into. So I was going to recommend two books here. One of them, this one is really awesome. It's called The Definitive Guide to Horror Movies. And this is a fantastic like survey book. It's kind of thick. It came out, I believe, in like 2010, 2015, something like that. But so what this book is, it's kind of a, like I said, kind of like a survey of horror movies throughout the ages, starting in the 1800s actually. And so with some like silent films, and it progresses its way all the way to modern times, which are, I'm trying to see the last movie that's in here. Yeah, 2017. Okay, Quiet Place. Yeah. So the most recent movie that's in here is A Quiet Place from 2018. So that's how far it goes to. It doesn't have every single movie in here, of course. I was kind of disappointed to see that Sleepaway Camp isn't in this, but there's lots of movies in here. And what this does is it kind of surveys and tells you a little bit about each movie, and is written by two authors, James Murat and Kim Newman, and they kind of give like a short summary and review of the movie. And what I love about the reviews is that they kind of get a little sassy sometimes. Like they're not afraid to say what was really shitty, what was really good. I actually bookmarked a really funny quote in here I wanted to point out. They did it. Yes, okay. So this movie is one of my favorite classic horrors called The Old Dark House from 1932. It was directed by James Whale, who also directed the original Frankenstein movie from 1931. And I love The Old Dark House. It's available on Shudder if you want to check it out. It's just so creepy but hilarious too. I don't know how to explain it. It's just such a wacky movie. But this movie, and they go into detail, how good it is, and it resembles this and that, and the characters, blah blah blah. But the really funny thing is that this film summary review ends with, "This film was remade badly by Hammer in 1963." I just kind of love that little that shade that they threw at the at the Hammer Film Production Company. I find that so funny. So, but yeah, this is a really awesome book if you kind of just want to learn a little bit how horror has evolved throughout the decades and what were some certain trends and tropes that were highlighted in each decade and each sort of like subgenre that they go into. So it's really highly recommend this book, The Definitive Guide to Horror Movies. I might try to include some snippets of this in future episodes if they include this. But hello everyone that's joining. Thank you for coming by. But yeah, so basically for those that just joined, highly recommend this book, The Definitive Guide to Horror Movies. It's a pretty fun survey book to just flip through. The second book and last book for today, because I don't want to take up everyone's time, is this really, really awesome essay by Carol J. Clover, Men, Women, and Chainsaws. What was the colon? Men, Women, and Chainsaws, Gender in the Modern Horror Film. This is a really, really, really awesome academic essay on obviously studying gender roles in horror films. This book came out in 1993, so there aren't a whole lot of modern movies in here. Like Scream isn't in this, of course, but it's a really awesome academic look at horror movies and specifically how gender plays into them. I haven't read the whole thing, I can admit that, but it's such a cool book. And if you need more further convincing on this book, this is the book that coined the term final girl. This is where it comes from. Carol J. Clover. She's actually still teaching, I believe. I actually had her Wikipedia page pulled up. Yes, Carol Jean Clover. She is oh my god, this is hilarious. Okay, so she's a professor at UC Berkeley who actually teaches medieval studies and also American film. So medieval studies, American film, essay on gender roles in horror films. That's just really cool combo. Sounds like a very interesting person. But so this book, what I find really interesting in this is she starts early on with looking into slasher films and looking into who their audiences are, because if you think about it, if you just think about like Final Girls as, the protagonist, and you think about the audience that's going to see a horror movie, you typically think that it's primarily a male audience that's going. And it's she points out it's kind of really interesting that like the 70s and 80s that filmmakers were able to get a male audience to come to these movies, but they're not watching a male protagonist or watching a female protagonist throughout most of the movie, at least towards the end. And there's all sorts of different theories as to who the audience is actually rooting for. She gets into it. It's very fascinating to think about. She describes how it's believed that men start in the audience watching the movie kind of start out rooting for our killer or slasher because we identify with him just because he's a male. And but once the movie flips and she is now our protagonist becomes the final girl, she does the final girl circuit finding all her dead friends, and she either escapes, kills them off, or she dies trying. Then the audience flips and starts rooting for her because she's now having to behave more violently to win the movie, kind of. And it's just a really interesting perspective to kind of get into and think about. And there's obviously lots of debate about whether or not horror movies are like sexist or kind of harmful and just violent. There's lots of violence against women in those movies, of course, but she kind of goes into how she thinks that they're actually, while true, it's she thinks it does more good than harm, because she thinks it's very clever and interesting to see a woman go through all these things and then kind of trick a male audience into rooting for her and to overcome her adversaries violently. And it's interesting, like in the 70s and some of the 80s, when I think like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like one of the first slashers movies, Sally, our final girl in that, she doesn't really do anything violent per se. She kind of she's just a survivor. She just keeps trying and trying and trying, and she eventually just runs off and escapes. And then we get to that same year, another final girl in a different slasher movie, Black Christmas. Oh my God, I feel terrible. I can't remember her name. Hussey, Olivia Hussey was the actress. I can't remember the character's name, but she went about it differently. She fought back. She picked up a weapon. She picked up a fire poker, and she killed who she thought was trying to, she killed who she thought was threatening her life. And it's two very different movies with final girls, but we get really, I don't know, it was just really cool to kind of think about it that way. And this book goes into lots of really cool details about that academically and talking about the evolution of slasher movies, how we wouldn't really have slashers without Psycho, the Hitchcock film, of course, and also Giallo, the Italian horror movies of like the 60s and 70s. That's a genre of movies I've been really wanting to get into because, of course, she says and other film academics say that we wouldn't have the modern slasher movie without those Italian horrors, the Giallo movies. So yeah, I feel like I've said a lot about this. Carol J. Clover, Men, Women, and Chainsaws. Highly recommend this book if you want to get kind of academic with horror movies. And film academics are very weird and wacky, and their theories are nuts. So there's lots of this represents penises. There's lots of things like that in those essays. So just be prepared for really wacky things like that. But it's super fascinating, I think. Yeah, so those were the two books I was going to kind of recommend for people that are they're finding my podcast, telling me that I'm turning them on to the horror genre because they normally don't like horror movies, but they've been enjoying the show. It's been making them think differently. I wanted to recommend some, resources, smarter than me, that may open your eyes even more, because those really got me interested into how to perceive everything differently in this genre. But yeah, it's kind of let me check my little to-do list. But feel free to ask questions if you got any questions down in the comments for this or later on. It's totally fine by me. But again, thank you everybody that has reached out. I didn't want this to be too super long, but if you have questions, I'm cool with that too. I hope that this was fun and enjoyable for you. Maybe once I get some more resources, or if I find cool chapters out of these. Maybe I'll do another Instagram live and discuss that. And I got a question from Dustin. Any movies or TV series you want to cover in the future? Tons. TV series, I've been wanting to get into the Creep Show that's on Shudder. I've watched the first season. Season 2 is actually coming out April 1st. But I've been wanting to recap the first season on my shows, like kind of fun sideshow, fun bonus thing, because I love horror anthology. Horror anthology I think is really fun, and those episodes, they do 2 stories an episode, so I think that'd be really a fun format for me to do, to discuss the 2 of them, maybe compare and contrast which one I liked more. Movies, I mean, there's so many. I've been really dying to go into the OG Universal monster movies, but I'm worried that people would not listen to those episodes just because they're older movies, and I don't know how many people would have seen them, how many people would want to bother to listen to an episode on that. So I've been playing around with that, but I feel like I need to bookend those episodes with something very recent just to make sure I keep people's interest. But yeah, those are things that I've been, really wanting to cover. And thank you for the question, Dustin. Ultimate absolute favorite horror movie. Okay, so thank you for the question. It's absolutely Scream. Scream is my absolute favorite horror movie. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I think it's just fantastic. It's well written. It's funny. It's scary. I still can't get over the twist of the killers. I have a feeling everybody in this chat has seen it, but the twist of the killers at the end still just threw me for such a loop the first time I watched it. I just love Scream. Scream's one of my favorites too. Yes, it's fantastic. Outside of that, that's like my default answer for everything. I feel like everybody goes through like, this is my favorite movie right now. This is my favorite song right now. I've been really fixated on this movie that I really want to cover. This also goes back to Dustin's question. I've been dying to cover this movie called As Above, So Below. It's so good. It was Driving Party. I looked it up. Olivia Hussey's character's name was Jess. Jess, thank you so much. That's right. That final girl's name from Black Christmas was Jess. Thank you. But As Above, So Below is a movie that I love. It's one of my favorite horror movies, I think. I don't know if I would say it's like my top 3 or anything like that, but it's a movie that I feel like needs to be talked about more because it's very scary to me. And it's one of the good found footage movies. And I love the blend. If people haven't seen it, it's about these group of people go down to the catacombs in Paris, and they kind of accidentally find the gates to hell. The movie is a little bit deeper than that, I think, and it was so cool because I watched all the behind the scenes stuff on. It was a very practical movie, actually. Like the scene where they have the piano down there, like they actually brought a piano down into the catacombs and shot it in the catacombs. Like that's fucking insane. I love little shit like that. Just seeing how they did that. That movie blends so many fun genres. It's like Indiana Jones meets Blair Witch Project, kind of. Or like Lara Croft meets Blair Witch Project. And it's such a great movie. It really, really creeps me out. But the things that creep me out are like the very simple things in it. Like we get a very quick depiction of what the devil may look like in that movie. And it's so simple. He's just wearing a black hood. We don't actually see the face, I don't think. But he's just walking around in the cave by himself in a room alone with just a chair that's empty. And that's like the depiction of the devil. And it's so minimalistic and so simple, and it scares the shit out of me. And I think that's something like a special topic I would love to get into, is how people's backgrounds influence their fear types, because I was raised Catholic, and so seeing the depiction of the devil scares me way more than I think it would kind of like the average person that wasn't raised Catholic or any sort of organized religion like that, just because, I don't know, you weren't grown up to be told to be scared of this. So that movie really stuck with me. So Scream is my ultimate favorite, but As Above, So Below is another gem that I've been dying to talk about on the show. And that's an episode I know I would need to get a guest on to have a proper flesh out of all the different themes and subgenres that movie plays off of. So that's what I'm waiting for. But yeah, thank you everybody for those questions, and this has been so much fun. Please reach out if you have any questions, comments, concerns, episode ideas. This has been so much fun. Thank you everybody for joining me this morning. I didn't want to take up too much of everyone's time, but thank you for all the lovely questions. And I think I'm going to wrap this up, but I'll see you guys this week with the Woman in Black, and on Friday, my bonus episode where I just do a lightning round review of movies I've been watching outside the podcast that are horror related. So hope you guys enjoy those. Let me know what you think, and have a lovely Sunday. Bye, everyone. I don't know if I did that right.